Hi, this is Charlie. Thanks for dropping in on this particular page to check out a little bit more about the Change Thinking program. Before I do that, I just want to acknowledge first of all, you've probably come here because I've sent a link for this page, probably after we've spoken on the Change Thinking chat or in some other forum. So I just want to first of all acknowledge that you've taken action, and thanks for taking a further step to come and check out this video, because the easiest and the best way to see if there's something that might benefit you is really to do your homework on the product itself. So thanks for being here, I appreciate it, and I thank you for making a little bit more time for me. Now, if we have spoken, no doubt we've hopefully had a conversation, started to unravel what some of the challenges are. And if I've got to the point where I've provided this page, it's because I honestly believe I think I've got something that may benefit you. I don't hand this page out to anybody, and on that Change Thinking chat, it's probably maybe 1 in 30 chats where I'll actually hand off a link to this page. A lot of guys just want to talk it out. Some guys get the help that they need on the call. Some guys, of course, still roll with the stigma of asking for help and just go silent, which is quite sad sometimes. But yeah, look, as I said, well done, and thanks for giving me a little bit more time. Now, what I first want to do is quickly tell you about the Change Thinking program. Now, obviously I'm a mindset coach. I run a program called Change Thinking, and it is an online coaching program. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can consume this via your phone, via your tablet or your PC. Content is delivered through the use of technology, and then twice a week I run a live Q&A every Wednesday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. And that's your opportunity to dial in, ask questions, get answers, see what other people are asking, which gives you some insight into where you're headed as well. And you'll tend to see some familiar faces each week. And the reason that's good is because there's also a private members group on Facebook where only members have access. And within that group, members share ideas, or share how they've been using the ideas and the learning that they've picked up within the program. Now, another important part of the Change Thinking program are the hypnotic inductions that I've incorporated into this program. So I'm a master practitioner of hypnosis, and within this personal development program is now 20 different hypnotic inductions which have been recorded professionally by myself, and they deal with a whole range of topics. So for example, at the start of the program, there's a hypnotic induction about accepting change. Because if you've got to this point, it's probably because you want to change. So what we do by hypnosis is lining up the unconscious mind with the conscious mind. And at the start of every module, there's some hypnotic inductions, because that will get your thinking and your brain into the right state, if you like, to absorb the learning that's coming. And that's one of the reasons why this program develops such transformational change, because it's specifically been designed for the unconscious mind, but also the conscious mind. Now, as a coach, there's a number of things that I've learned over the years. A big part of what I do comes from the field of NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I mentioned hypnosis is another area that I'm passionate about, but I've also done training in timeline therapy, extended disc, and also M-braining, which is all about the balance between the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. But hypnosis and NLP are probably the two key areas that make up this program. Okay, but I'd like to go into a little bit more detail with you, just to give you an idea on what it is we'll be learning. Now, so we've talked about how it's going to be delivered. Delivered online, Q&As every Wednesday, Sunday, private user group. And of course, I would be your coach. So my name's Charlie MacArthur, and I'm a mindset and thinking coach. Now, the 3 modules that make up the starter program. The first module is all about setting new neural pathways in your brain. So I give you lists, things to read, which become the automatic way of thinking when you're dealing with a problem. I also spend time on teaching about the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. And that obviously drawing from the learning from hypnosis, because a lot of behaviors that we don't want to do lie in our unconscious mind. So we learn all about the relationship between the two. I also explain a little at the start of the program about Maslow's stages of learning. And why that's important, because we want to go up the steps to unconscious competence. Now, they're things that you do automatically, competently, without even thinking about it. So we want to make skills like rapport building and listening, at the next level, but it's something that we do automatically. I also share with you a lesson on limiting beliefs. Now, limiting beliefs are judgments that you've made at some point in your life which restrict the level of options that you believe that you have. So I give you tools so you can actually go and help other people break their limiting beliefs, because when you do, you become very, very aware of your own. And so you start to question beliefs that you might have made 20 years ago, which might now simply be out of date. So this whole process of going through the Change Thinking program, it's a journey of discovery. As you learn things about yourself and you start to understand why you do some of the things that you do, because it's with the awareness is when you can then start to change. Another thing that I talk about or I teach you in the program is about the line of motivation and how we push off from our pain in the direction of paradise. But the motivation level changes through that journey. So it's very handy when you're aware of it, so you know exactly where you are and what you can do to pull that last part of the journey over to your paradise. So many people get stuck in the middle and then go back to where they started. Okay, also in Module 1, I teach you about the nervous system, because NLP is neurological, okay? It's neuro-linguistic. Linguistic being language and words, and of course programming. So one of the things that, for example, that I help with the guys on the program that get angry, well, one of the things we do is program into their head a 5-second delay that they will use automatically when under any duress. And that gives them time to think and choose a better response. So programming is very real. Also in Module 1, I give you a couple of language hacks. How to ask for what you want and get it more often. It's a good lesson, that one. And we look at well-formed outcomes, which is like goals on steroids, I like to say. And then also in Module 1, we look at the topic of reframing. One of my favorite topics, because the ability to reframe something that's bad and look at it from a different perspective and learn how this can actually be some way advantageous to us is a great skill to have, but you only learn it by learning it, okay? So your ability to look at something that's not good and see how it could benefit you. This will keep you on a positive mindset. When you learn how to do reframing, it will turn, it will change your life. It'll make you a happier, more fulfilled person. Okay, so neural pathways, that's what Module 1's about. Module 2 is all about state control and rapport, okay? So any guys out there that may have challenges with getting angry, frustrated or rage or whatever it is, whatever the destructive behaviour it is that you do, whether it's addiction, okay? We learn how to control ourselves. And if you're someone that's in the habit of overthinking shit, I'm going to give you strategies on how to reduce that and bring that back into line of normal, okay? Because overthinking can be a terribly painful thing. It's terribly time consuming, and you lose part of your life when you start overthinking. So we'll help that as well. We also look at anchors. Anchors are little things that we set off or we set up in our own body that springboard us straight back to a previously set state. Okay, so anchors are fantastic. If you want to click your fingers and change state, let's set up some anchors for you. And you could have anchors to bring your mood up or bring your state up or relax you down. It's up to you how we want to program it, okay? The skills within NLP will break down a lot of things about your thinking so you can actually start to change certain things, okay? So how you want to feel and how you want to act then becomes up to you, not just not just up to the winds of change or whichever way the wind's blowing. With the skills that I'm going to teach you in this, it doesn't matter which way is wind blowing, because you're going to have to learn how to set the sail and take off in whatever direction you like. Also in Module 2, I share my anger management videos with you, and then we'll have a debrief on that. I give you a Tony Robbins video about rapport, so you can see it from another person's point of view. I also put in here a special video I found, and it's the regrets that people have who have lived over 100. That's an interesting watch. In Module 2, I also talk about confidence and how to have the mindset for confidence. You've got confidence in you now for certain tasks. We need to show you how to apply the strategy of confidence to other tasks that you want to be confident at. I mean, confidence is not something that you find on the ground and you have in your possession for a while before you lose it. Confidence is something you do, and it's something you practice, okay? I also show why you shouldn't ask the question why. And I give you some better questions. And here's the reason. When you ask a question why, you automatically send someone's brain into the past. And the answer might not be in the past. In fact, for some people, the answer may be painful if it's in the past. Why not talk about what's preventing us getting to where we want to go? Because now we've got to look at the future. So I'll go into that in more detail, but that's a handy lesson and something you can try with your children. And in Module 2, we also start talking about tonality and how you use your voice. Because you can accent a word within a sentence and it can take on a whole new meaning. And when you get out there and start practicing consciously, the art of using good tonality will become unconscious. In Module 2, I also teach you how to maintain your emotions. And what are emotions? Emotions are just labels given to a group of feelings. You need to make sure you get the right label sometimes, or you might label yourself the wrong way. I've seen people with depression calling themselves anxious, and vice versa. We need to know. I've also seen people think they're nervous and all they are is excited. Okay? So there's a difference between sensations, feelings, and emotions. We learn the relationship between those. We also learn the relationship between identity, values, beliefs, behaviors, and your achievements. Because that progression of identity to values to beliefs to behaviors, when you understand what is dependent on the other. In Module 2, we also look at logical levels. Okay, how to think in next level thinking, or chunk down or chunk up. And finishing off in Module 2, I also teach you about perceptual positions. What is your perception of a problem from a different position? I know what it's like looking towards the camera now, but what would I look like if I was looking from the camera's position? And how would the room look if I was sitting over here? I'd be on the left, of course, and the camera would be on the right. So we spend time getting into, and where does this become handy? When you can, for example, see how your partner sees it. Would that be useful? Sometimes that would be very, very useful for us. Us men sometimes love to just keep looking out of our own eyes, so we need to develop flexibility, and that's a word you'll hear throughout this program. Okay, Module 3, which is about communication concepts. We talk representational systems, and this is one of the areas that NLP is known for, and that's when we make distinctions about people who process visually, they've got an auditory preference, or they're kinesthetic. They operate in the world with a preference for how they feel. Now, typically myself, typical sort of visual operator myself, if I can see it and I can make sense of that, I'm sold. Other people need to hear referrals and recommendations. And other people need to just get in and try stuff sometimes before they'll make a decision. How are you making the decision about this program? Are you seeing what it looks like? Are you paying attention to what I'm saying? Or are you feeling comfortable with everything that you're taking in? This is when we get down to the nuts and bolts of NLP. Okay. We revisit those beliefs, attitudes, and philosophies in Module 3 that we started the whole program with. And we start to see how they've started to become part of our automatic thinking. So for example, one of those statements that I get you to say is, whatever anybody does at any moment in time, it makes sense to them in that moment. Now, that's just a handy thing to have going in your head, because if you walked in one day to home or in the office and you saw something that looked like an absolute attempt to hurt you or destroy something, this is when you're prone to react. But when you look at something and the first thought is, anything anybody does at any moment in time makes sense to them at that moment, well, you'll stop and ponder, what was that person thinking? What was the positive intent they had when they did this? Now, is that useful? That is useful. Okay? So what we're talking about is taking on beliefs and attitudes that are useful. Is it useful for me to believe that my best is yet to come? Absolutely. Is it useful to believe that the rest of the year is going to be a drain and I'm going to go out of business? Is it useful for me to believe that? No. So why believe it? We've often got the little voice in our head telling us stuff, and we need to silence the negative voice sometimes. That's one of the things that we're going to teach in this program. So it is packed. The program is packed with, lots of useful ideas and concepts that will make a difference. Like the mind-body loop. We're going to learn about the mind-body loop and the relationship between the two. Because when you understand the mind-body loop, motivating yourself to go to the gym is a thing of the past. Talking yourself into doing something becomes a thing of the past. Or if you're overthinking, it becomes a thing of the past. Because you know how to change one of the two. As I said, the nervous system's about thinking and feeling. And that's the reason we're here. Okay, so that's a little bit of a deep dive into the content, some of the stuff that I teach. Now, as I said, there's also 20 recorded hypnotherapy sessions on various different topics. Not all of them will be relevant for you, but some of them may be very relevant for you. And I think last time I looked at a hypnotherapist price list, I think 5 sessions were $750. So 5 sessions of hypnotherapy, $750. This whole program is just a slight bit more than that. In fact, this whole program is just $900. Now, a lot of people prefer to just do it by installments, and the typical way is to do it in 4 installments of $250. But any one of those modules is worth $1,000. Put together the resources of hypnotherapy that you've got available to you, and some of the other stuff, and sessions with a psychiatrist or psychologist. $200, $250, right? The Q&A, where you can ask questions and get answers, it runs twice a week. And if you're on this program for 6 months, well, there's 52 sessions for you to go and get help and get answers and talk and discuss what's going on. So content aside, hypnotherapy aside, there's 52 sessions where we can get together and talk about how to continue to move forward. This program is jam-packed with value. I'm saying come on board, give it a try, okay? Let's partner up, let's work through some change. Come out the other side okay. Okay, I'm not gonna let you down. Believe me, I've got my own little experiences in the path that I draw from. I haven't always hung around, good people. I've had my fair share of people I shouldn't be around as well. Okay, I've had my life turned upside down a few times. I've had my heart broken a number of times. So I'm saying, come on board and trial this for 30 days with me. See what it's like to have a coach, okay? A coach behind you, a sounding board, a mentor, to point out things and guide you along the way. Okay, I didn't say it was a easy journey, it's a simple journey. Okay, it's logical. But if the time has come to change your thinking, let's get real, let's get serious, and let's do this. Click the button on the bottom, enroll yourself. You'll have those login details coming out to you shortly, and I'll be on the phone short after that to make sure you're all set up and logged in. And then we're away. So you could be away by this afternoon or this evening, depending on what time it is. All right, thanks for giving me your time today. Been nice to meet you. Hopefully we can take it a step further. But look after yourself and take care.